right, guys. So I was in Las Vegas for the Contender Series. And Dana goes to the Contender Series press conference. Contender Series, by the way, is very, very fun. It really is like a sprint. The athletes are fighting like crazy. The show is 2 hours. It really is one of my favorite things that they've asked me to do. And I did it because Bisping and Felder are in Paris this week, and last week they were in Singapore, and those guys generally do the Contender Series. But after the Contender Series, Dana White was at the press conference, and he spoke about Merab Dvalishvili. Merab Dvalishvili is the number one contender in the bantamweight division. But he is very, very close to Aljamain Sterling. So close to the point that he would not even entertain a fight against Aljamain Sterling. I get that. Because Cain and I were in the same situation. Ultimately, I ended up going to a different weight class before I ran into that. But I want to talk to you guys a little bit about how it works in those situations. First, though, let me tell you what Dana White said in regards to Merab Dvalishvili. Dana said, this is not, you could be friends with everybody in this business. There's a lot of people in this business, a lot of good people. This is not about friendship. It's about finding out who is the best in the world. And if you don't want to find out who the best in the world is, then this is not the place for you. You should be somewhere else. There are plenty of places to fight where they don't give a shit what you do. But it doesn't work here. I understand this because I was in the same situation with Cain. And I recall being in Dana's office with Lorenzo, renegotiating the contract when I was still up at heavyweight, and they asked me about it. And I said I was going to go down to 205. It was honestly before I fought Rashad Evans, or was going to fight Rashad Evans. Ultimately, it ended up being Patrick Cummins. I was going to 205. And Dana and them did say to me, they said, well, it's good you're going down because you guys are too good to avoid each other. Ultimately, you guys would have ran into each other and probably had to fight. So by changing the weight class, it eliminated all those issues with not wanting to fight my friend. Merab and Aljo find himself in the same situation. With Merab saying, I don't want to be fighting my friend. I will also tell you this. Part of the reason I didn't want to fight Cain Velasquez was because I knew what happened in the gym every day. So the question is, how's Merab doing with Aljo? To know he doesn't really want to fight this guy. The friendship is obviously number one. But also, you know, in training with that guy, how tough it would be to get a victory over him, if possible at all. Because generally, the guy that doesn't want to fight is the one that is not the champion. In this case, that's Merab Dvalishvili. But they're too good. It seemed as though they might have had an answer to the problem when Aljo was going to defend the belt and go up to 145. Well, after Sean O'Malley does what he does, Aljo now says he's staying down at bantamweight. And if you believe what I'm telling you, he should be in line for an immediate rematch. When you've defended the belt as many times as he has, we've seen time and time again, guys get rematches. Not Aljamain Sterling. They're moving on. There should be no reason why Merab should not want to take the fight with Sean O'Malley unless he just believes that there is no one else that can compete with Aljo to the point that if he becomes the champ, Aljamain will be staring right again as the number one contender. But then the shoe flips. It was Merab, the great friend. These guys are great friends. Great friends. But it was Merab, the guy that was beating everyone else, not wanting to fight. How does it work when it's the other way around? Which could be possible. Because Aljo could go on a run again and become the number one contender. And when you watch Merab and Sean O'Malley, and you look at the styles, it seems as though Merab could be a difficult challenge for the new champion. Granted, we have seen Merab get hurt before, and O'Malley seems to know how to finish people when he gets them hurt. But we've also seen otherworldly toughness from Merab Dvalishvili, especially in the Marlon Moraes fight, where he was dropped, he was hurt, it looked like he was done. And he got up and he got the job done. And I believe he is a favorite to beat Sean O'Malley if they are matched up right now. Brian, look up the odds real quick for me. O'Malley versus Dvalishvili odds. I believe that they have instilled Merab as a favorite to become the bantamweight champion of the world if he is to take that fight. Ultimately, it's about him being healthy enough and him being willing to fight for the championship. And then you put the shoe on the other foot, and Aljamain Sterling is now the person that has to say, well, I'm not going to take the title fight because my boys got it. But I'm telling you, once you've got a piece of that championship life, you don't know what's going to happen when you're in that situation. Then you figure it out. You figure out whether or not Aljamain is willing to fight his friend. And if I had to guess, I would probably say no. Because these guys are unbelievably close. They're unbelievably close. And they love each other. But when you look at it from a promoter's perspective, it's like, how do you deal with two guys lingering around the top of the division, both unbelievably talented, both with potential to hold the championship, not willing to fight each other, not changing weight classes, and both being okay with the situation as it is. Having a new champion really helps Merab Dvalishvili. So I get Dana's point. But I can also see where Merab is coming from because I was there. But we need to have some sort of answer to the unwillingness to do it. We also got to see what those guys do going forward because it seems like Cheeto is in line. Cheeto is the guy that he's supposed to fight next. But Merab would seem to be very close. And honestly, with the way Merab fought against Petr Yan, he should be the number one contender, if not Aljamain Sterling. So this is one of those situations where I can see both sides. I see the UFC side, but I don't think that Merab should look elsewhere to fight because he is easily one of the best fighters in the world. If he went anywhere else, he would just dominate. His grinding style, his wrestling, his cardio would be far too much for anyone else. He needs to be fighting the best fighters in the world. And those fighters are in the UFC. I also see Merab's point, where you got a guy in Aljo who's pretty much taking him in and does everything with him. When Merab probably didn't have anything, he probably stayed with Aljamain Sterling. They've trained and come up together. So the idea of hurting that person really doesn't sit right with you. I always felt like if I was fighting Cain, and with the potential of one of us losing, he was going to take money from Marquita and Daniel. And if I won, I would take money from Coral and Little Cain. It did not make sense. And I believe that this is where these guys are. But ultimately, we need some answers. So, Merab, what we going to do, baby? What we going to do? The Sugar Show will fight anybody. It's just about who's going to step up. Bantamweight division is fun right now, guys. And I'm loving it. Loving it. Until next time, guys. Like, subscribe. Tell a friend that DC's got a YouTube channel. And I'm digging deep into all things mixed martial arts. Till next time, peace.